Guys, I'm taking a strong stance today. I've been following the news with everything that's happening in Ukraine, Russia's behest. I'm not drinking Moscow Mules anymore.
Amala, that's really brave.
Thank you.
And as someone who agrees with you 100%, I love James Bond, but I will no longer be watching From Russia with Love because it has the word Russia in it. And everything Russian should be canceled.
It's a tough thing to have to do, but Taylor, what about you?
I will no longer be watching Rush Hour because Rush is in there and it's too close to Russia. So just don't want to risk it.
It is pretty traumatic to just even hear, that phrase.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
Yes. Matryoshka dolls are no more.
Mm.
These are all good things, guys.
Yes.
I think we're really going to change geopolitics with this.
Yes.
Haven't seen, ladies and gentlemen.
Great job.
Full of energy, that one, guys. Happy Thursday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are going to get to a story of things that are being canceled because they're Russian, simply because they're Russian, and really has nothing to do with the conflict that's happening in Ukraine at the moment. Other stories we're going to touch on today. University of North Texas canceling a father who's had his child taken away from him, his trans child taken away from him, calling him a fascist. Airplanes. Are we now going to have a bunch of unruly passengers on airplanes because the mask mandates are not lifting? We'll talk that. A pro-mask protest in New York City. We love those. A Seattle bakery closing down because it's simply not safe for its workers to be there. Plus, should we be canceling the Constitution? Another question that we will be talking about today. And Kanye West's new music video features him burying Pete Davidson. A little bit of pop culture.
Kanye.
Little bit of pop culture. And then Will is leading our Throwback Thursday, so we will get into that as well. Let's start off with this story that Andy No tweeted out. The tweet says, at the University of North Texas in Denton, far-left activists shut down a Young Conservatives of Texas event featuring the father who lost custody of his trans child. The radicals pounded on the table and shouted, "F you, fascist," over and over. This is brilliant.
Do you want to play the video? Or you don't want to play because of the words?
I didn't see a video on this tweet.
Oh, is it not the video?
No. It's just what?
Oh, it got deleted.
Oh, the video got deleted. Wow. Wonder why the video got deleted.
Breaking.
We're breaking it on the show right now.
Yeah, the video got deleted. I wonder why. Probably because it doesn't paint them in the kindest light. Or maybe it's because they're screaming "F you, fascist."
Right. I doubt it's that. I mean, they allow so many horrible things on Twitter every day.
That is
true.
true.
Go through my replies and see what people say. I don't think it's for that reason. But who knows why it got deleted?
Actually, here's a little clip here that I found. Yeah, here are some bunch of students.
You're reading a script.
Okay, there's a lot going on there, but it seems like there's hundreds of students at this protest, and they're holding signs that say protect trans kids, trans lives matters, things like that. I don't see what that has to do with this situation, and it points out the really big word, but lunacy of this entire situation. This is a father who's had his kid taken away from him because he disagrees with the treatment of his child, which I think anybody who is reasonable, be it left or right, can agree that children should not be undergoing hormone therapy or sex reassignment surgery or anything that alters the body in a way that is irreparable. To see hundreds of students show up like this and shout "F you, fascist" at a man who's generally concerned for his child is just beyond me.
Nothing like civil debate, am I right, you guys?
Right, there's a lot of civility.
Oh, man. It's just terrible to see that. But I've actually done a video at that university in Denton. Did a video at that campus in Denton, Texas. Mm-hmm. That campus is incredibly far left. And this is Texas, right? It's outside of Dallas. I think it was about 30 minutes outside of Dallas, which if you know anything about Dallas, Dallas is very far left as well. You go to Fort Worth and places around Plano, it's obviously way more conservative. But Dallas itself, and basically any university that you go to in America is going to be dominated by left-wing radicals like this. And so I think what's important to know is that this is in Texas, and people think that, oh, I can just go to Texas and I'll be fine, or I can send my kids to a Texas school and everything's going to be fine. But that's just not how it works. These universities are not the same as they used to be. They push these radical ideas and tell students that this is okay. I guarantee you that none of these kids who are coming and doing this right now and yelling at these students and this guy trying to present will be reprimanded in any sort of way. It is going to be just going to be brushed off, and they're going to be able to just go about their lives as if nothing happened. But if it was the other way around, the conservative kids could potentially be expelled from school, blacklisted, everything like that. But because they're on the left, they have the right opinion. Nothing's going to happen to them.
The wonders of liberal higher education. It's just amazing. And think about what they are protesting here. So this is, we covered the story of Ted Hidako on this show, a man whose wife came home one day and said, guess what? Your 16-year-old son is trans and I want to transition him. And I also want a divorce. And they go through this divorce process. He loses custody of his child. She gets to make medical decisions before the child's 18 years old. And the child has started undergoing gender reassignment. This is another story. This is not Ted's story. This is a man by the last name of Jeffrey Younger, who had the very same thing happen to him, his ex-wife pushing gender transition on his young child, and he's in a custody battle. And the title of this speech apparently was Criminalized Child Transitions, something that everybody should agree on. And on yesterday's show, we covered, trans males having a debate with conservative males, and we even saw trans males come forward and say, no, it's not okay to do that to children. Buck Angel being one who's pretty famous for speaking out against that. It is not okay. And to see hundreds of students show up and hate this father for doing something that is protecting his child, that is going to likely save his child's life and save his child's well-being, I just can't imagine thinking that is wrong.
Also, a good note on this is be careful who you marry. You got to think about that pretty deeply.
You do.
I mean, if these are these two women who are coming out and saying that they are fine with this, I mean, we do the dating advice questions on the show when we do like Dear Will and Amala and stuff.
Yep.
But one of the questions that we never got advice on is, if my wife is pro-transitioning my child against me, what should I do?
Right.
And you should ask those questions at the beginning of your relationships now.
Yes.
It seems like something so innocuous that you would really never have to ask. But now these are the type of things that you need to ask someone. Is this something that you're okay with, or is this something you're not okay with? And these things should be deal breakers for people. So you have to be really careful about the people that, you're marrying when it comes to this, and know their values and know what they want to do. So,
right.
you obviously people's opinions change after you get married, of course, but you want to do your best to mitigate these kinds of things. And nowadays, these types of conversations are really important when you are getting into those types of relationships, because this is what it wrought.
Yeah. Who knows what's going to be the new thing in 10 years? My goodness. It's almost like you can't plan for what's going to be the conversations. How could you know?
My son wants to marry my dog, and you're not going to stop me.
Right.
I want a divorce.
Oh, gosh. It's a crazy world we're living in.
It is a crazy world.
I don't like it.
But always silver linings, that when these types of things happen, it exposes what the left is doing. Sure. So at least a lot of people can see it, which is really good. I mean, when my video came out of people doing basically this exact same thing to me when I spoke at University of Northern Colorado, millions of people saw it, and it was a huge expose of like, this is how these people act. They come and they do this and they act this way, and it's terrible. And so it makes a lot of people fed up with the left. And I think the social justice type of leftist person, like who are in this video, they're very loud, but I think that their position is getting smaller.
Yep. Yeah, it really is just like weaning off, because there's no way. This is childlike behavior.
It's not
from grown adults. It's really not. It's really not. You can't keep winning this way. Speaking of that, here is an article out of Business Insider. The tweets here we'll read. We'll just go through the main points of the article. Most cities and states are easing mask rules. Yeah, suddenly the narrative is changing and mask mandates are being lifted. Possibly here in California and Los Angeles. We'll see.
I think it did in Los Angeles now.
Is it totally? I thought they said something about like March 12th was going to be
I don't know.
the day. Taylor,
I haven't worn a mask in here in
you're
Los
like,
Angeles
it's been
in
over
so long. I'm like, I don't. It's been over for me. But I was talking with Ava about this the other day, that, when you walk into a place and you're the only one without a mask on, even though you're supposed to wear one, you get like a sense of like, I'm doing the right thing, and these other people aren't. But then when no one's wearing a mask, it's like, oh, now I don't get to have that.
Well, that's a good thing. It's good. I'm willing to sacrifice that feeling. Anymore. I'm willing to sacrifice the feeling of not being that person.
I changed
anymore.
Everything. It's all because of thanks to me.
Yeah. So you're welcome, guys.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We're unsung heroes over here. That's what it really is all about.
Well, I guess the TSA aren't, because apparently they're going to be possibly extending their mask mandates. And what Insider is worried about is that there are going to be more unruly passengers on airline flights because of this. The title of the article is Airline Passengers Who Refuse to Wear Masks Have Turned Violent. But the federal government will still require masks on flights and may even create a no-fly list of unruly passengers. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here with flights because, again, across the United States, cities are going, it's time. We're going to lift our mask mandates. You now can go into grocery stores and pharmacies and bars and sports events without wearing a mask. And flights, which technically have the most foolproof air when it comes to COVID transmission and are really one of the safest places to be, are continuing to tell passengers to wear masks.
Well, the HEPA filters destroy 99.9% of the germs in the air.
Right.
Bacteria in the air. That's what they do. That's what they're meant for. It's supposed to work exactly that way. An airplane is honestly, excuse me, one of the safest places to be in terms of air and germs and viruses and these kind of things, honestly, because of those HEPA filters. To have them just be extended there, to have you not have to wear a mask or be social distance when you're waiting in line at the ticket counter and checking your bag and all this kind of stuff, but then get right next to people and not be able to wear your mask when you're eating some Twizzlers or something. It doesn't make any sense. You know who Bryson Gray is?
Yes.
The rapper?
Yes.
He's a great guy. Bryson Gray. You guys should check out his music if you haven't. Conservative rapper. Anyway, he refuses to go on planes because he refuses to wear the mask. So, we had this Blexit event a couple weeks ago in St. Louis, and I don't know exactly where he drove from, but he drove hours to not take a flight.
Wow.
Because he wasn't going to go on a plane to wear a mask. And that's very brave. That's an amazing thing. I'm flying to Amsterdam today, so I'm going to have to wear a mask a little bit on the plane, but I'll keep it below my nose.
Right.
I'm going to be on a no-fly list. I think the airlines came out and said the amount of people, they track their disruptions that they have on flights for just anything, not just mass stuff. And they said that half of the disruptions on flights nowadays are from non-compliant mask wearers. Apparently, that's what they say.
I mean, it's not surprising.
Yeah, it was 350 throughout 2021 incidents of non-compliant mask people.
Yeah, people are sort of over it. It's a interesting thing because you do sign an agreement that says, I'm going to wear this mask on the flight, and then people get on the flight and then they're upset when they get told to do what they agreed to do.
I'm upset. I'm definitely upset.
It's the attitude more than anything from the flight attendants and stuff usually. But
but I've found the flight attendants now really don't care nearly as much. I fly all the time. I travel all the time, and I really never have it on.
I flew last weekend. They cared a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's just everybody's different. Yeah.
For me, my recent flights, no one has cared. I don't even keep it below my nose. I just take it off and just don't do anything. This one flight attendant did come up to me when I was flying from Amsterdam back to America last time. And she said, make sure you keep your mask over your cute little nose. I said, that's sexual assault, lady.
Well, at least that's kind of nice. At least it came with a compliment.
You can't get mad at that.
No, I loved it.
They say it 10 times over the monitor, over your nose and mouth. Sir, that. That's my experience, but I'm glad you're having better ones.
No, I got a cute little nose, apparently. It's really nice.
Well, Sabrina, I think she'll allow us to tell this story. She's a friend here for you. She's been on the show on multiple occasions, our resident pop culture expert. She went on a plane with her baby and, wore her mask below her nose. And this flight attendant kept coming up to her and saying, ma'am, put the mask up, put the mask up, put the mask up, put the mask up, over and over on the flight. And then the flight attendant came and pulled her mask down to talk to Sabrina's baby. I would have been like,
no, people are ridiculous.
Are you kidding me?
I know.
Yeah. I'm surprised Sabrina didn't get dragged off the plane. Right. She's probably on the no-fly list after that.
Yeah, I know. I just like testing it a little bit. It's fun for me. See.
I'm just so mad at the stupidity of it all that I can't have fun with it.
Of course, it's so stupid.
Angry.
It's so stupid and it's so dumb and it makes no sense and it should all be eradicated immediately. But you gotta play, gotta have a little fun with the things that it's just there.
I guess, but. They impose these rules and then they say 70% of the disorderly conduct is attributable to people's having issues with these nonsensical rules. Right. And not only do they do it, the flight attendant union is trying to extend them, but they're also now trying to make these no-fly lists and go after the people who are who were disruptive, quote unquote, while all over the country, mask mandates are being lifted. Yeah. So it feels like vindictive at this point. It makes no sense.
It does a little bit.
And one of the top traveling lobbying firms, like international traveling lobbying firms, came out, I think it was on Monday, and was requesting the government to end all restrictions so that they could get people flying again and traveling again to make more money. You know, they want their business back, all the money that they've lost. I mean, these airline companies had to be bailed out by the U.S. government for some reason. We have to now pay for all that. And if they just ended this stuff, people could go and do it again, and then we don't have to pay our taxes. We're paying taxes to bail out stupid policies. Yeah, that's all we're doing.
From what I've read, flight attendants are sort of the main culprit in protesting this and saying, no, we want masks on flights.
Which that doesn't make sense, because it would like ease so much tension on every flight and make your job so much more pleasant.
Yeah,
but
they're like, it's not safe.
Is it? Yeah, it's the fearfulness. It's the same thing as like teachers unions wanting to extend mask mandates for kids. It's like, why?
If you don't feel safe on a plane being a flight attendant because someone has their mask down while they're eating some chips, then go get a different job. I don't know what to tell you.
The science is not on your side, too. We know because, like you said, for the HEPA filters, it's the closest place, the safest place to be next to being outside.
And we've had CEOs of airlines come out and say that. I believe Southwest and American CEOs came out and said, dude, this is not necessary. And months ago, this happened.
The American Airlines CEO, I think he actually resigned from his position shortly after that. So
not surprising.
Crazy. But yeah, I mean, even with looking at Sweden right now, Sweden dropped all restrictions 3 weeks ago. No masks, no anything. And they have had way less cases than they had when they had all of the lockdowns and all of the mask mandates and all this stuff. You know, it's just like, if we would have done nothing at all, we probably would have been better off than we are now. If we would have done no lockdowns, no closure of businesses, no mask mandates, no vaccine, whatever, I think we'd just be better off.
And couple that with giving people the facts, arming them with the truth about the virus and how it spreads and everything, how to protect yourself, and then trusting them to make those own decisions for themselves.
Right. Meanwhile, in New York City, we have this pro-mask protest going on that we'll show you a quick video of.
Great.
Okay, here we go. Mask for loved ones, mask for friends. Not about you, also not hard to do. Just because we're tired doesn't mean it's over. Mandate masks, that's our ask. Masks for seniors, masks for kids. It's not about you, also not like the flu. Just because we're tired doesn't mean it's over. Mandate masks, that's our ask.
Yes.
Oh, those poor children.
Not about you. You need to do it or we're going to kill you.
This is a like religious ritual.
That
looks
is
like.
very
strange.
I know.
Very
One of them's going to
strange.
grow a goat head and they're all going to start prancing around.
This poor little kid on the bottom left that is just like, please get me out of here and get me out of this mask. I beg of you.
I know. I mean, you can wear a mask. If you don't like the way your face looks, you can wear a mask.
Or if you're just scared of COVID, you can wear a mask.
Yes.
You are welcome to do that.
And what I find is that the most amount of people who don't like wearing masks is old people.
Old people?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I
thought you were going to say something else. I thought you were going to say the people who like wearing masks are people who look like this, blah, blah, blah,
Well,
like you always say.
That is true. But I'm talking about old people. Old people don't like wearing masks. They're like one of the least likely groups to wear masks. I think there was a study on that too. Like old people don't want to wear masks. It's young people. And then young people like this come out and say, we have to wear masks because of seniors and old people and stuff. And it's like, my grandpa's chilling. He's like, I don't want to wear a mask. He's like, I'm trying to live out my last years, and no way I want to be suffocated by this face diaper. You know, that's what based old people.
It's like, I've been on this earth 85 years breathing normally, and now you want me to cover up my face while I try to breathe? Are you kidding me? I'm sure there are old people that want nothing more than to wear a mask and want everybody else to do it too. But I'm just saying, like, come on, allow people to have a choice in doing so, especially when the masks that they advocate for have lower efficacy than the masks that are recommended. It's recommended that you wear an N95 mask. Most of the people in that video that I was just watching were not wearing that. So come on. Just be genuine in your argument.
On my plane last weekend, the girl sitting across the aisle from me had an N95 on, and there was like an inch of space above her nose of like where the N90. So I'm sure like she's feeling all extra safe because of N95, and you just can tell that people carry themselves with this like, I'm doing the right thing, like kind of like watching for other people. You know, oh, do they go below your nose? But it's like it's not even fitted to your face, so it's literally not nowhere as effective as
that's an N85.
Like yeah, it's something. Wait, here's
that's an M16.
My question for you guys: when do you think that mask mandates will be done on planes? Like, when make a prediction.
Oh, man, I never like to look in a
So right now they're saying what March 18th is the date that they said, but they've put on 2 extensions now.
Yeah, it's been extended multiple times. Yeah, it's like,
I'll say sometime in April.
April.
End of April.
man,
It's
I'm
so
like,
hard to
That's just a
believe now.
guess.
It's like
no, I'm like, I almost think never. I think that
Really?
they want us to wear these masks on planes forever.
What do you think, Taylor?
I mean, my damaged, wounded heart from being disappointed so many times and just disillusioned with the world is like, it agrees with Will. But my head says like, how are they, if everywhere's dropping it except
Yep.
planes, and scientifically we know that
Right.
they're safer, how can that, and we know that keeping the mandate on planes increases the violence and the outcomes that they don't like the violence.
Yeah.
But, like, how can they keep it? And they already have this deadline. Like, how can they extend
I
it
know.
again?
Yeah.
That's my thought.
But I genuinely don't believe that they will. So I don't know.
I think they'll extend it a couple more times.
Yeah. All right, you don't have to wear an N95 mask, but you do have to wear a mask with a Ukrainian flag on it now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there
And
we
if
go.
you do that, then it's all good.
That's probably what
That's
they'll
gonna
do
be
is
the
they'll
new-
find some like incremental thing. Like, you have to wear it like half the time, but you don't have to replace it in between bites anymore. That's the new for the next 6 months. And then we'll maybe
Goodness
revisit.
Now you can cut a hole in the middle of your mask.
You can drink your drink through a straw in the mask.
Yeah.
So tired of it.
But you have to keep the straw in your mouth the entire flight. You can't take it out.
So tired of talking about masks and
I know.
COVID. Oh my gosh.
That's my other
Sure.
my other prediction or question is, when do you predict like we will just no longer be talking about masks and it'll be a thing of the past as is like in the world?
Years.
Years?
Yeah, long time. Yeah. I see nothing like that happening. And I think that the implications of COVID and everything of what these people have realized that they can achieve with people is going to just, they know what they can do. I mean, even when it comes to the digital passports, 2G system, all this stuff, they understand what they want. They
I think
understand
we're
what they
going to
wanna
see
do.
like elections for decades where people are like, look what happened during the COVID crisis of 2020 and look what happened. I feel like, oh my God, it's going to be a talking point for ages.
Just like
When
every
Ron
flu
DeSantis
season
told all
too.
these-
Yeah.
When Ron DeSantis told all these people to take their masks off.
Yeah.
You see that interview with the woman and the boy?
Yeah.
And they interviewed the mom afterwards of one of the kids, this black kid who was told by Ron DeSantis to take his mask off. And the mom doesn't have a mask on during the interview.
And the
she's
kid does
and
behind
the kid
her.
does. And she's complaining about Ron DeSantis asking her kid to take his mask off
While not wearing a mask.
while not wearing a mask. That's what I'm saying. It's all theater. It's all
Clown
theater. And that's
world.
exactly what DeSantis
Yeah,
says.
he
It
said
was
I'm
awesome.
done with this COVID theater. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I know. No, DeSantis is a man.
Anyways, guys, let's move on to more fun news. And before we do move on to more fun news, it is March. It is our fundraising month. If you guys like to support the sanity that we bring you every single day, hopefully, you guys can go to prageru.com/donate. Give as little or as large as you would like to. And we will gladly use that to continue to make content for you to keep all of our employees happy and running around and talking about freedom and liberty and expressing that to other people and educating millions of Americans about values that can be good for them and their lives. So yes, prageru.com/donate if you'd like to support that. Let's get into the Seattle story. So a downtown Seattle bakery is now closed for the safety of its employees. Now, I won't read the rest of the headline because I immediately thought this and looked at this and I thought, oh, it's a COVID thing. They're they don't want the Omicron variant to come and kill all their employees. And then I read a little further, amid rampant crime and drug use, says reports. So a downtown Seattle bakery is temporarily closing one of its locations because there has been a spate of recent shootings, including at least one that was fatal, that has left the owners concerned, according to officials and reports. So there's so much crime happening outside these businesses, and sometimes fatal crimes, that they don't even feel comfortable having their employees come to work and do their jobs in the city of Seattle.
That's a third world country. I always used to think of Seattle, I thought it was a really nice place. When I was a kid, you guys have
Oh, me
these visions
too.
of Seattle? I thought it was like the coolest place.
I used to watch Portlandia, and I was like, this is so cool. Full of
The
Isn't that
OG
Portland?
Starbucks.
I used to think just like everything
Pacific
in
Northwest.
this. Yes, I used to think just like, oh, this place is so cool. All these hipsters running around. It's like artsy and beautiful.
You get to
and
go
you know,
watch orcas in the water and stuff. Like I thought Seattle was the coolest, and now I think Seattle's actually the worst. Seattle, Portland, the West Coast is just the worst.
yeah.
It's so bad, and these people treat it like a dump.
I thought everything was super cool. I was like, okay, Seattle's cool, Portland's cool, Los Angeles is going to be so cool. When I was a kid, when I was in middle school, me and my friend were planning, like, when we graduate high school, we were going straight to Los Angeles. Like, it's going to be so beautiful. It's going to be so clean, all the beaches and everything. And then I got here and I was like, oh, okay, this is not what I thought it was at all.
Yeah, no, it's not. None of it is. None of it is. They shell out the place you live and treat it like a dump.
Yeah.
They don't care at all.
So it's just crazy that a store owner, and this is happening everywhere, like San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle, Portland, people are going, I can't run my business here anymore. People are being looted and robbed, and there's nothing they can do about it. And the city's not doing anything about it. You walk outside your business and there's somebody doing fentanyl right outside your door. There's people getting shot. There's people getting stabbed. What can you do as a business owner in this situation?
No, I mean, you have to leave. You have to leave. But now everywhere's turning to this. I mean, you go to even other big cities in America that aren't so bad as the West Coast, and it's happening there too. It's happening all over the place. But it's like these are all manufactured problems, all of them. Excuse me. You go back and look at the 1950s, you didn't have rampant homelessness and this type of crime and all sorts of stuff like this. Like, it just wasn't happening. Why is it happening now? Because of leftist progressive policies that have done this to these cities. It's without a doubt, because it's just, the proof is all there. The worst cities in America are all ran by the left, with the most violence, the most dangerous people, the most crime. Now, I know people are going to say, oh, yeah, well, some of these conservative states have the worst education. Sure, that's true. There is some truth to that. But when you look at crime and you look at homelessness, it's places where the left. It's where the elites have forgot about the normal people and have left them to drown by themselves.
Yep. And then they look at these problems that they're having and they make them worse. They go, okay, well, let's institute bail reform, or let's let a bunch of people with felonies out of prison because the prisons are overcrowded. And this is a massive problem. Or let's just decriminalize certain things that people are doing, like shoplifting. Instead of that being a felony, let's make it a misdemeanor now. And let's encourage other people to do that. You know what people do when they shoplift and rob people? Oftentimes they bring guns and people get shot and killed. So you've now emboldened people. You have a set of criminals now who go, okay, this is the best city to be in, and I'm not going to get in trouble for this. And even if I get arrested for doing this thing, I'll be out tomorrow, baby, and I can go right back to doing it again. And the court system is so messed up with everything they've done with COVID that you have DAs who are giving out plea deals like candy to people. So if I was a criminal, I'd be like, yeah, baby, let's go to Seattle. Yeah, let's go to San Francisco. Yeah, let's go to Los Angeles. And I will take all this stuff and I'll come out rich and I'll have all these things that I can do. And nobody will ever be the wiser and nobody's going to get the better of me because the cities allow it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this goes even further back in time. I mean, you go back to the 1960s and the start of the welfare state and all these different types of movements with progressives in this country. And it's all just been regressive. All of the places that were considered the best places in America are now the worst places in America. And that's sad. That's really sad because a lot of these places are so great. I still love Los Angeles, despite all the things I say about it. I love a lot about here. There's a lot of great stuff. But for someone, I've lived here for 5 years. If I hadn't moved here 5 years ago, let's say I moved here when Amala moved here like a year ago, I couldn't have done it. If I would have came and visited and seen what it looked like when a year ago, I couldn't have moved here. 5 years ago, things were better. But it's just gotten worse and worse and worse regressively. And it's going to continue to do that because of these policies and because of the history of this. Getting rid of all of this is more than just, the bail reform and stuff. This goes into, a historical context of how these people have coordinated to destroy these places. It's all manufactured. It's all done by them.
Just as you're talking, I have the thought that like so many of these policies are they compound the problem because you like, okay, we incentivize homeless people to move here because we'll pay them to live on the street and homeless, and then they'll likely be drug addicted and the government will give them free crack pipes and doesn't enforce open use of drugs out on the street. And then, well, they need money to pay their dealers, so what do? They go steal and loot and rob things, and then the DA doesn't arrest them and keep them behind bars, and so they become repeat offenders. And then so burglary gets normalized, open drug use gets normalized, homelessness gets normalized, and it just is this vicious cycle that just keeps on repeating itself, and you end up with a city where it's literally ruled by these people living on the streets, and it's just anarchy, and where it's a complete, like you said, a manufactured crisis by policies. We're literally creating this cycle, and I don't know. What do you do?
Well, it's like these things are so easily fixable. I mean, this is what I talked about after watching the State of the Union on my Instagram the other day. I was like, you look at how these politicians are, you look at how they talk and how they clap for each other, and when they go on stage and talk, like, you guys watch the show. I mean, I don't think there's anyone who can watch the show and see the way that I talk and say, oh, he's not real about the things he's saying, you know, because I'm obviously real and believe all the stuff I'm saying. These people who go up and talk and put these policies forward, it's all fake. It's all nonsense. It's all manufactured. It's all political theater for all of these people. They don't care about you. You have to get that through your head. And this goes for a lot of the people on the right too. A lot of Republicans too. They don't care about you either. It's these politicians, the people in power, that type of work is being a politician in the media all the time, getting money, getting lobbying money. All this breeds a certain type of person. And so these things can be fixed so easily. I mean, so incredibly easily. You could fix all of these things tomorrow, most of them with a stroke of a pen, right? But they won't do it. They won't do it because it's all about the looks and the money and the theater and all that.
Very strategic.
Yes.
Fantastic. And if you are wondering, you know, I think there's going to be a change in justice. I think his name is Eli Mistel or Ellie Mistel, something like that. But he is a justice correspondent for The Nation, a left-leaning company. Here's what he had to say about the U.S. Constitution.
Now, in your book, Allow Me to Retort, you reframe politics and the Constitution by kind of breaking down how it all impacts voting rights, like you mentioned, LGBTQ rights, abortion rights. The list, as you know, goes on and on. So are you arguing that the Constitution needs to be scrapped altogether?
Sure, but I don't think that's going to happen. Like, if we could throw that out and start over with a new document that was more inclusive of everybody, that was written by everybody, at no point have black people, brown people, or women had a say in actually writing the Constitution or the amendments to that Constitution. If we could throw that out and have a delegation of all Americans to write a new one, I would be all for that. Okay. That's what they did in South Africa. You know, when they got rid of apartheid, they didn't like tack some amendments onto their apartheid constitution. They threw the apartheid constitution out and they started over. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen here. And so instead of that, what I'm really advocating for is that we interpret our Constitution so that we extend justice and fairness and equality to all, as opposed to whatever the heck we do now.
Right. So because you're calling it.
That guy gets paid to say these things. You
I cannot believe that.
He got some book deal and gets paid to say these things. Wonder how much he got on his advance for that book. I'd be very curious to know. This guy's on MSNBC all the time. We've definitely reacted to some of his clips on MSNBC and other news channels.
He says a lot of garbage.
Yes, he does.
Hey, Mr. Mistel, what is a right or privilege that you don't have that Will has or that Taylor has? Please answer immediately.
And tell me where in the Constitution it outlines that you don't have it.
Exactly.
Tell me.
Show me the exclusive part of the Constitution that does not allow you to have rights, please.
Right.
I beg of you, because you will not have an answer. And he says, you know, instead of whatever it is that we're doing now, you mean treating everybody equally? Is that what you have a problem with?
But that's exactly the point, because they don't want people treated equally, because the Constitution does treat people equally, and he wants privileges above other people.
Right.
You know, this leftist hierarchy with intersectionality and however intersectional you are, being at the top of that hierarchy, that's how they want to reframe this Constitution. That's these people's plan. It's blatantly obvious. Whereas instead of having it where everyone has a clean slate where you can do what you want as an individual, doesn't matter what you look like. I mean, the point of exactly what he's saying is the point of America. That he says, you know, well, the Constitution, I'm not seeing black people mentioned, I'm not seeing gay people mentioned in the Constitution and stuff. It's like, that's the point. It's not supposed to mention them because it doesn't mention white people. It doesn't mention men. I mean, it mentions man as humanity, but it doesn't mention it as like a gender, like. That's the point. The point is that it's anyone who is a U.S. citizen, you have these rights. That's what it's about.
Imagine looking at the founding document of this country that was beautifully and meticulously written so that you have the right to be in this country in equality and have the privilege to literally say what you are saying on the TV right now and say we should scrap it. Oh my goodness. And this goes to show it's the quiet part being said out loud, that in order for leftist and progressive policy, at least extreme radical leftist and progressive policy, to come to fruition, they want to scrap the traditional history of our country, the foundation of our country, the institutions and systems that built it to where it's never been a better time to be me. This is what they want to do. They want to tear all that down, because if it is baked into America, in its founding, in its constitution, in its declaration, in its justice system, then we must scrap all of that, as they say, in order to build a fair and just world that has equity for Black people and trans people and women. It is such a ridiculous argument where you see he's not made a single point as to any evidence that shows that he's excluded from the U.S. Constitution or excluded from his rights, while sitting on a TV show as a Black man who has written a book and made his fame on talking about justice and the Constitution.
The fact that you can be the president of this country, have your own TV show, get millions of dollars from books, all sorts of things, and be Black and do all that. I mean, just to me, in so many ways, just goes to show that this privilege that they talk about is just wrong. It's just so wrong. It's so backwards, everything they say. I mean, this is really the only country in the world where you can get filthy rich because of capitalism, complaining about capitalism.
Right.
Filthy rich and complaining about the institutions that made you rich.
Right.
In the first place.
Imagine me getting on here and being like, but I'm not equal.
Right.
With my name on the show.
Yeah.
And with my face all over this YouTube channel. I need reparations. It's
like
just like,
Black
what?
No, that's what he is saying, is like you coming on and being like, well, Black people don't get to host shows.
Right.
You know?
That's literally what he's saying.
Well, you host, it's like exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
You're hosting a show.
Right.
You know, but that's exactly what he's saying. He's making up things that aren't real. Stupid.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
To be so brainwashed, I can't imagine.
I know.
It must be a good life.
I can imagine it because I was.
Yeah.
But it's still astonishing to see it now in the present day.
Mensen zijn zo schapen.
Do you want to explain what that means, or are you just gonna?
It means people are sheep.
Okay.
In Dutch.
There you go. Will's learning.
Yes, I am learning.
Will is learning. Here's this little piece of pop culture before we move on to Throwback Thursday, which Will is going to be leading. Kanye West is facing fresh backlash after disturbing scenes in his new music video where Pete Davidson is being buried alive. As always, let's get into it. Here's the photograph. It's pretty jarring. It reminds me of that Kathy Griffin photograph of her holding what used to be President Donald Trump's head, and she got canceled for that whole situation. But now Kanye's doing that. So this is clearly Pete Davidson's head. I don't know how anybody could see that and not think that that's Pete Davidson. And there is a line, apparently, God save me from the crash so I can beat Pete Davidson's. I think you guys can finish that rhyme.
But
cash.
Yeah. I don't have really
Stash.
much to say about this other than I'm pretty convinced that everything regarding this family, or what used to be this family, I guess now with the recent divorce, is a PR stunt.
yeah, I love Kanye West, but this is not it to me. And I agree with a lot of the things that he does. I think he's a hero for a lot of people, but I mean, no one sells out stadiums like Kanye does. No one sells tickets like Kanye does.
Well,
And it's because he's the best and so artistic and creative. But this, I mean, if he's going to be on this type of biblical kick, this isn't really the most biblical thing in the world, Kanye. I got to be honest with you.
yeah, if I hand
know.
you a ham sandwich with a little bit of rat poison in it, are you still going to want to eat the ham sandwich? Probably not. So it really doesn't matter how good
Wait, I
of
don't
a
get
person
what
you
do
are.
mean?
You're like, Kanye's like done all these great things, and I agree with Kanye or whatever, but you know, there's a little bit of rat poison in that ham sandwich. So is he really that great?
I don't know if I get your reference with the ham sandwich and rat poison.
Kanye's all the good
Yeah.
stuff he does that you agree
Is
with
the
is
ham
the ham sandwich,
sandwich.
and this stuff is the
rat poison.
The rat poison.
So you're
Oh,
gonna
right.
still
Well,
eat
that's
that
like-
ham sandwich if
Oh,
it
right.
has
Well,
rat
it
poison
depends,
in it?
You know,
I mean, isn't that
Yeah.
the same thing as like saying though that you like, oh, we shouldn't listen to Michael Jackson music because of what he did or whatever?
no, that's
Oh
not
yeah,
what
I don't
that's
listen
not
to
the
Chris
argument.
Brown.
Yeah, that's not the argument I'm making. I'm making the argument that that this isolated incident here is going against a lot of the things that I think he's been talking about.
This is
and
not a good move.
I don't think that's great. I think that it has to do with PR in terms of Donda 2 is getting leaked all over the internet, and he's trying to get his name out there so people will listen to it. I don't know if it was
he need to do that, though? I mean,
that's what he always does,
Kanye.
man. There's always something.
You have to
always
stay in the
It's
light.
the Kanye, but it's not even just staying in the light. It's the Kanye. That's just what he does. He's just, every time he has an album or something, it's a Kanye thing. When he had Graduation come out in 2008, I mean, he did a bet with 50 Cent that he was going to get more first week sales. They released their album on the same day, and it was like a huge deal, and he won, you know? And then like in 2015 with the...
Is that when he said George Bush hates black people?
Around that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? And like in 2005, when it was a late registration, he came and said, you know, the government gave people AIDS.
Yeah.
Like all this stuff, you know? But he knows what he's doing. That's what I'm saying. So this move, I think he knows what he's doing, but it's also not a good move by him, in my opinion, with what he is preaching.
Like, he's also clearly got some sort of mental issues. And
I don't know
that this is all just purely cold, calculated, like...
He's a strange man.
You know. Yeah.
I think all
don't
of
like
it's
just
fake.
putting it off to the mental issues type of stuff, though. I feel like, you know, I don't want to just say that he has mental issues, because this guy is legitimately, he is a genius. The music and the things that he's done.
Have you watched this documentary?
You can be a genius.
The new one on Netflix?
No, I know you can have mental issues and be a genius for sure, you know. But like, to think that some of the things that he does are not works of some intellect and is only because of mental illness, I'm saying is the fault.
Oh no, you can.
And people
have
do.
both.
People say that, you know.
You can have both.
No,
I think there's clearly a strong hint of narcissism in this case. Sure. And when I say this is fake, I mean this photo's fake. I mean the relationship between Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson is fake. I mean the relationship between Kanye and Julie Fox, or whatever her name is, Julia Fox, Uncut Gems, is fake. I mean all of it's fake.
Who's Julia Fox?
You know, the girl that Kanye was dating after Kim, with like the black eyeshadow and Uncut Gems. You haven't seen that video?
No, I don't know these people.
I was Josh Safdie's muse for Uncut Gems. It was like a super famous thing like last week.
No. Like
I saw it on Twitter, but I didn't see the video where she talks about it.
I don't follow celebrities in pop culture stuff.
I mean, I don't really follow it either, but I'm on TikTok. Obviously, it's my biggest platform, so I see the stuff that people are talking about, and I just think most of the stuff that you see with celebrities in Hollywood and people dating each other and this marriage and that marriage or whatever, most of it's fake. Just gonna put that out there.
Well, I am fairly certain that Kanye and Kim signed a deal with E! News when they were getting married that they would have exclusive rights to much of their relationship through the years.
Right.
A 5-year deal or something with them. I don't want to. I'm speaking. I could be speaking out of my butt, but I think this is true.
I heard they made a deal with Klaus Schwab in the World Economic
Yeah, right. It's the Illuminati.
I'm Kanye West. I'm here to usher in
The young leaders.
It's a great reset album form.
We have penetrated the music industry and we have placed these people there.
Wouldn't
My
be surprised.
beautiful dark twisted reset.
Oh gosh, gross. Yeah. Okay, guys, let's move on from this. I don't need to talk about Kanye more than I've talked about Kanye enough in this moment. For the rest of my life, I don't need to talk about him ever again.
I love
Kanye.
I love him.
I know
He's
Will
a
does.
man.
He's got a soft spot for.
I do have a soft spot for Kanye. You can't say anything bad about Kanye. I love him. He's like Leonardo DiCaprio for me. I love them both.
Just wait till you watch the documentary.
I'm telling you,
it's a 3-part documentary on Netflix. That's like all this like old school footage, even from like the very beginning of his career in the '90s, when he moves from Chicago to New York and starts with Jay-Z's record label and everything. It's just crazy to see all that. But anyways,
went to Jacob Witt 25,000.
Okay. Well, I'm done with this. I'm done. Okay. Let's move on to Throwback Thursday. So this tweet went viral on Twitter, of course. Alessandra tweeted out, Italy's main university in Milan just banned teaching Fyodor Dostoevsky because he's a Russian writer. Dostoevsky was sent to a Siberian labor camp for reading banned books in Tsarist Russia. We are reaching levels of hatred and stupidity that I thought were never possible. Now, Will saw this and he put together a Throwback Thursday for you guys on Fyodor Dostoevsky. So I'm going to pass it over to...
Yes. You can keep it on there. I got it on here.
Okay.
So I'm just
pass it over to William.
checking on this. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So Dostoevsky. one of my favorite authors. I think his works are some of the best works that have ever been created. He's been very inspiring for many people that you guys listen to now that I'm sure you love, one of them being me. Secondly, also Jordan Peterson is someone who loves Dostoevsky and references him all the time, along with Friedrich Nietzsche and many other of those types of I guess, talking about existential nihilism and the utilitarianism, all that kind of stuff. He's been very influential to some of the best thinkers in the world. So he was born in Moscow in 1821. Sorry, I'm looking at this. And go to the next slide, Amala. Let's go to the second one. Born in Moscow in 1821, he went to school for engineering, and for a time that was his profession until he started writing. So he was an engineer for a little bit, and then he was also translating books for other people, and eventually he joined this literary society. And some of the ideas that they talked about in this literary society were not, the government was not fond of these types of things they were talking about, and so they arrested Dostoevsky along with some of these other people, and they were going to sentence him to death. And so he was in a camp, and then they were putting him basically in front of this, I don't know, just in some field. And they were going to shoot him. These guards were going to shoot him. And at the last minute, something happened, and they said, no, we're not going to shoot these people. And in this moment is when actually Dostoevsky found God. There was this church, and the light, the sunrise, was actually hitting on the church, on the top of the church. And he saw his life flash before his eyes, and he said he found God in that moment. And then after that, he was a Christian. But after that, he wasn't just let go and said, oh, Dostoevsky, Fyodor, he can leave. It was now he had to go to a labor camp. So 4 years in Siberia. If you know anything about Siberia, it's super cold. It's like the coldest place in the world. It's terrible working there. I mean, I can't even imagine how terrible that was. And then after that, he had to do 6 years of mandatory military service as well. So that's 10 years of his life that he was basically controlled by the Russian government, having to do whatever they want. And after that, he got out of there and he started writing his books, many of his great works, which I'll get into in a sec. But he started writing his books. He had a gambling addiction. He got married once. Not a great situation. Got married again. And he loved this woman, but they had a baby boy. And after 3 months, the baby boy died of pneumonia. And it was very hard on Fyodor. So all of these horrible things happened in his life, right? He had an incredibly tough life. Dostoevsky, going through all of these kinds of things, but he still wrote some of these, the best works of all time. Let's go to the next slide, Amala. Some of his best known works: Crime and Punishment, The Idiot, The Brothers Karamazov, Tales from the Underground, and Demons. Those are the ones that people really reference when they're talking about Dostoevsky. I've read all of these except for Demons. I haven't read Demons, but my favorite is Crime and Punishment. I think Crime and Punishment is a perfect book. And if you guys don't know the story, I won't give everything away in the story, but I'll give you guys a brief rundown on why I think that it's so good. Crime and Punishment deals with this guy. He's this Russian guy. He's studying in law school. He's good looking. He's smart, right? And he wants to do good for the world, but he's broke. He has no money. He can barely feed himself. He doesn't know what he's going to do with his life. And there's this pawnbroker, this old lady, and she's not nice. Okay, she really sucks. And she's rude and not very good with her money and or not good at selling things and is cheap and all this kind of stuff. And the Raskolnikov, the main character, he says, well, if I just kill this woman, I can use the money that I steal from her to be able to do good deeds and make a better life for myself and other people around me. It's just one stupid, mean, crotchety old woman. If she died, everyone's life would be better off. Right? And this is what he thinks. And he has this grand vision in his head of how it's going to go and how he's going to murder this woman and everything. And he ends up doing it. He ends up killing the woman. And when he thought that he was going to feel good about all this and have this great, now I can triumph and go and do all of these things and be this man that's going to change the world with great deeds, he actually feels terrible about it. He feels terrible remorse for what he did. And in a lot of ways, this is, what Dostoevsky wrote about in his books, which is kind of a through line through his books, is that Dostoevsky wrote as if he was arguing against his Christian faith, which was really cool because he would argue the atheist positions in his books and try and prove them wrong. And so one of the things that, if you read the Bible, he talks about, you don't do evil things in the name of the greater good, or you don't commit evil things or sin or whatever in the name of God. That is sinning of itself. It's something God can't forgive, actually. And so this book is about how this man has these great things that he wants to do, but actually ends up doing evil acts to try and get there, and the remorse that he feels after it. It's an amazing read. It's an amazing read. I recommend everyone to read it. It's truly a work of art. But a lot of his books are like that. Tales from the Underground as well. The Idiot, The Brothers Karamazov. The Brothers Karamazov has a part in it where Jesus comes back to life and they imprison him because essentially people cannot live up to his goodness. It's very good. I truly, again, even to atheist people, I recommend that you read this. And so now going back to Dostoevsky and what we were talking about in terms of, him getting banned now just because he's Russian, which is so foolish. It's so stupid. I don't know why people are pouring out their Russian vodka at home. It's like you already bought it.
Yep, it's already there.
It's already
ladies
there,
and gentlemen.
And most Russian vodka is also already actually distilled in the United States, but whatever. Anyway, but here's a quote from Dostoevsky, because he knows all about hardship and all this. This is the next slide, the last slide on it. Tyranny is a habit. It has its own organic life. It develops finally into a disease. The habit can kill and coarsen the very best man or woman to the level of a beast. Tyranny is a terrible thing, and it comes so rapidly, and it is a disease exactly like he says, because what does a disease do? A disease festers, and it keeps getting worse and worse unless you take care of it. Unless you take care of it from the beginning and don't let people have any sort of will over you, then tyranny only gets worse. And he knows that. He knew that better than anyone with things that he went on to. And also, Taylor, he inspired a lot of Solzhenitsyn, the Gulag Archipelago, a lot of his works. But anyway, I wanted to talk about Dostoevsky because he was trending, and I think he's a hero and one of the greatest writers of all time. And just because he's Russian does not mean that he should ever be canceled. He is someone who everyone should listen to and read, and I recommend everyone should read. Start with Crime and Punishment, and then go into the others.
Very good Throwback Thursday, Will. Very timely.
Yes,
with everything that's
yes.
happening
And
right
this
now.
is funny because I wanted to do one on Dostoevsky before. I wanted to go through his books like one by one and talk about the books and everything, but I thought this would probably be better, just a little more history about him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But it's I love him. I think what his works are groundbreaking. Really changed the world. His books.
But now he's getting canceled.
Yeah.
For the crime of being Russian.
Right.
It's just
Exactly.
amazing that
Exactly.
people will do that, especially when he's fighting against the very thing that you're upset about.
Mm-hmm. I know. I just hope people don't go even farther than that. I mean, who knows how much farther it could go.
Right. Right.
They're in the Czech Republic. They're saying you talk bad about it. Oh man, what did they say? I don't want to misspeak. I'm not going to say it. But you
Okay.
look up.
Look to the Czech Republic.
Yeah, yeah.
Look what the Czech Republic said.
Yeah, I think
crazy, guys.
I like it's crazy.
I
believe me,
promise
right?
you had to be there.
I liked it on Twitter, so if you go through my likes, you can find it. But I can't remember exactly.
There we go. Well, that's a fantastic Throwback Thursday. And I think if you're, it's inspiring to just think about people in history who had it so much worse than we will ever experience in our lives, or we would ever, even dream of experiencing in our lives. And if you can take just an ounce of the bravery that somebody like that had in a time where most people, I'm sure, did not want to be brave or did not want to do anything, that's an amazing thing to do. So think about how little of a feat it is really in our modern day and age to be just an ounce of brave in comparison to men like this and historical figures like this.
Yeah,
It's a
no
good message.
excuses. You can do anything.
True. It is
Just be a
very true.
motivational speaker. Yeah. You can do anything. You set your mind to it. You got it.
That's Will's next career.
Yeah. No, I don't believe in any of that. But people do make a lot of excuses for themselves. And I think that when you start doing that, then you're lost. Just like we talked about on the show yesterday with being a man.
Mm-hmm.
A man takes his problems and he handles them. He doesn't make excuses. He tackles them head on.
Which is true, and I believe we're going to finish that Jubilee video up tomorrow on the show. So you guys will get to see the rest of that, and we'll do some commentary on that and talk about the conversations had. Great Throwback Thursday, Will. Hopefully
Thank
it's
you.
inspiring you guys back at home. That is our show for this beautiful Thursday. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let us know down below what was the most interesting story that we talked about today, and we'll see which one gets the most likes, and we'll see if we'll do more stories like that. Or did you really love Throwback Thursday? It's one of my my favorite segments that we do throughout the week. Please like, subscribe, click the notification bell to be notified every single day when we go live. Plus, you can listen to us on Spotify, Google Play, or Apple Podcasts if you'd rather listen than watch, or if you want to do both in your free time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, leave that comment down below. What was your favorite segment for today? And we will see you tomorrow.